Who's that saying first? Ah, how's it going? Welcome to my my spooky little spooky story stream. I forgot what it is. Oh no. Oh no. Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty gosh darn well. Not sure if you heard it, but yesterday I reached that 50 subscriber goal. You can see in the upper right hand corner. Well, I guess I'm just sort of announcing it there. Something just crawled in my eye. Ah, it's uncomfortable. I'm at the limits of how many things can possess this body. Please stop attempting that, little bug. Yep, you saw that crash. Just thank you. Festival VR special sub 50 coming Sunday, Monday, and Friday. English good. Like always. Oh no. And there goes rain. So I was thinking today for something a little special. I could exclusively do what I've written in the many gifts of Tih'tulkd. I do deeply apologize for any of you who've become exhausted of my own writing. I might have to hit the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. See you guys at 10:30. Apologies about that. Had some issues. It was like some little ant decided it wanted to hop inside of my eye. And, that was not fun. Ooh. We are already at that hour. Give me 1 second to just let everyone know I'm doing a thing. Calm, spooky, and friendly. You see, everyone's giving me these 3 words, but the problem is, I seem to have somehow failed in branding myself because nothing screams occult-like to any of my, Discord people. Which is sad. I have failed. in my spookiness. That's okay. Ah! How the heck did I forget that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I literally forgot my entire body. That's embarrassing. Hold on. Where's the camera selection? There's no camera selection? Okay, I'm gonna have to. What's that? Well, to be honest, your voice isn't spooky at all, too. Well, what makes a voice spooky, if not what they're saying? And I can say spooky things. There's my face. So we start you. Let's see. Now that I've remembered my face and my body and my legs and my arms, can we now be on stream? Look at that. Look at that. There we are. Although this isn't the screen I want, is it? I want to be reading from the forest. Hey Skelly bro, how's it going? So I decided to do something special today. I decided to read exclusively from the many gifts of Tih'tulkd, my personal work. Your voice reminds me of my dad, who reads me bedtime stories when I was very young. I'm gonna read you stories right now. Okay, gotta change the name because school's already over. That's right, you're all hearing this. There ain't nothing you can do to stop it. That's one yummy Capri Sun. Okay. So let's go with... Okay, I missed a chapter. It's like, is this an 8-page story? Kinky daddy vibes. Hello, Lucifer. You sound like you need a bit of disciplining. Oh no, I've just ruined my branding entirely. Now everyone's gonna be making art of me. No. Interesting. I don't know you. I ain't picking up the phone. Let's see. So what should we start with? We have Drowned All I Loved, What the Mirror Peers Into, Finding of Glen Zinza, A Ghost Story, A Message from the Stars, They Who Peer Too Deep, and How Vampires Are Made. Ooh, hiccups. I think Finding of Glen Zinza. I should specify, I'm probably not going to get through this whole book. Maybe like 2 stories. This is 30 pages so far. And, 10,000 words. Boy, did I do a lot of writing. So yeah, let's start with the fighting of Glenzanzar from the Book of Many Things. Book of Many Things. No, that's indeed the Many Gifts of Tih'tulkd by H.J. Bendele. Wow. Set in modern time. Hold on. This is a nice, relaxing vibe we got going on right here. That's an interesting concept. Relaxing vibes. We can't have that, now can we? No. That's not the kind of vibe I want right now. I swear to gosh, if another ant crawls in my eye, I am burning down heavy-handed. A country I see. I don't think ants have country. The continent of Ant. Let's go with wanted for it. Let's start at the start. And the background ambience brought to you by the Guild of Ambience. Continent of Ants. Ants are giving me problems today. Lots of problems today. They keep trying to crawl on my face. I have a small ant problem. A small ant problem that is exaggerated by the fact that these ants are twats. Complete and other jerks. Just inconvenient. They go out of their way just to harass me, I swear. But yeah. I had to make another account, but here I am. Skelly Bro, how's it going? Yeah, changing YouTube names can be difficult. I've done that a few times, but it can be difficult. Do I move over it? I really think that ants have inhabited the entirety of this mobile home, like in the walls. This building is 20 years old, and I don't think the people before me took very good care of it when it came to pests. I'd love to have the money to just pick up and move out. That'd be amazing. Ah! Aha! Thank you very much. I now have 51 subscribers. I'm lazy to change every single little bit on here. It's so complicated for no reason. Yeah, I really like that. I wish there was just a section where you could change your display name in YouTube instead of having to go to Google account and change your name with Google account and wait for it to update just to see if it did it right on YouTube. It's inconvenient. But anyways, we are reading The Finding of Glenzanzar from the Many Gifts of Tih'tulkd by H.J. Bendele. Any veterans of the channel, which I believe is the majority of my audience, will recognize the story as being read multiple times. My apologies if this is an irritant towards you. Set in modern time. I wanted it all. I believed it all belonged to me. Greed and hunger filled me. I wanted every bit of money, wealth, and comfort there ever was. Even as the youngest child, I wanted it all. Growing up, I was no stranger to the occult. In fact, I grew up playing in the buried temples of some old, forgotten god, without my parents knowing it. I did not take to the temple as my own, but unbeknownst to me, my childhood friend did. When we grew to the age of 14, he began to talk about his religion, something he was much guarded of. His given name was Thomas Page. Well, one day he came to me saying his new name was Kindint. I did not know what he was talking about when he mentioned the god, old god of knowledge, and the gifts that he would give, but I went along with it. After all, Thomas was always full of imagination and new stories. This went on for some time. Thomas would tell wonderfully spooky stories at night, and I would share my imagination of having the world as my plaything. He never pushed for me to join his religion, nor did he even offer. This playful story went back and forth, with him even showing off weird rituals that did nothing more than give me a fright. All of this went on unchanged until I failed in all sanity and reasoning on my 18th birthday and asked if I could join his religion. Thomas immediately and sharply denied me. He said that he had prayed and tithed on this matter for some time and found that his God was not for me. Instead of welcoming me into his fold, he gave me a ritual. He said that this ritual was from his God, word from word, line from line. What it amounted to was the crafting of a small temple while focusing on what I wanted in a god. The act of focusing on what I wanted would draw the right god to me, and they would find me. What the temple looked like or what it was made of did not matter, as long as it would last. It would act like a beacon to the old god. After the temple was done, I needed to make a sacrifice to it. Some sort of food or money or incense to burn. I went outside, dug up some mud until I found clay, an easy task in my city. I looked up old temple on the internet. I found an image of a temple of the Tamil Nadu people, knowing absolutely nothing about it. It was a square cubed structure with almost domed short top. With all respect to the people, something that was foreign to me at the time, I solely used this temple for its image and aesthetic. Crafting the temple in clay had a few failures, with me needing to repair or fully restart a few times. But after 2 hours, I found that what I made was exactly what I wanted. I made sure to focus on what I was looking for. Wealth. It all, everything. After the temple was crafted, I found myself staring at it, fixated on it. I found that I needed to carve something in it. A word of a sort. Glun, zn, za. The word was unknown to me and almost unspeakable and satisfying. Still, in the firm but wet clay, I wrote the word. The clay temple was fine looking, small enough to fit in my hands. Even I did get carried away when writing the name, and wrote more unreadable things. I did take a pottery class in school, which was what drew me to clay in the first place. I waited for the whispers that were told to happen. The whispers that never came. And when I went to complain to Thomas on the internet, he was not on. Unhappy and frustrated, I decided to lay down to sleep, with the clay temple on the windowsill. I learned what Thomas meant by whispering. As I slept, as I dreamt, a voice creeped into my head, joined by a chorus of what I could only describe as birds horribly out of tune. I was in darkness, nothing but abyss and void, and I heard the voice. It spoke to me, not just with words but with thoughts. It told me to gather some very specific flowers and herbs and go to a very specific place with my clay temple and burn the flower and herbs like incense. The words in it used were basic and slow and almost brutish. The thoughts woven in with the words made up for the lack of meaning in its speech. The names of the flowers and herbs burned into my mind, and I thought of hunting them down and drying them out, and it brought dread to my very soul. If I had to do this myself, it is likely that this would never have been done. Luckily, there was a woman with a free spirit and a large collection of skunks who owned a shop. The shop was called Moon River's Dried Botanicals. Assured and sold many hard-to-get dried flowers and herbs. After finding my way to the shop, I talked to the wild and free woman known as Moon. I spoke about the herbs and flowers I needed and how to burn them much like incense. She advised me that a herbal incense wrap style would be best. Of course, I omitted the ritual plan, and speaking of the ancient gods, all of this cost me less than $17. The place where I was instructed to go was an isolated stony cliff overlooking a blackened lake. I took my clay temple, sat it on the stony ground, and lit the herbs and flowers, dried and wrapped together. The smoke filled my nose, with a collection of smells filtering in. There were nice smells, and there were bad smells. There were odd smells, and I breathed them all in. I took in the sounds, the rushing black water, the chirping birds, stared at the vast blackness of the sea. The bird singing was lovely for a while. Then I noticed a bird singing off tune, much like in my dream. More birds joined them. The once beautiful chorus turned into a concacophony of horrid sounds. I was still looking into the blackened sea when the birds began to turn. When I looked down at my clay temple, the rocky ground was gone, now replaced with a blackened sea, still like the void of the empty sky. I looked around in a panic, only to find that everything was black. Endless void. Just like last night's dream. Only I was not asleep. The space I was in was filled more and more with smoke, and I held my clay temple in my hand. I could still feel the ground as if I was there just like before the darkness took me. In the darkness, I began to see a ring of rusted, red, and rubble orbiting what I could just make out to be an onyx, black, hexagonal, double-pointed cone, spinning in space, far out from me. The same voice that came to me in my sleep came to me again. Hunger, it said in a way I could understand. We always hunger. You always hunger. It spoke much like it did in my dream. It gave me images of hungry-looking creatures, ready to eat, mouths open wider than any should, with long teeth not fit for any human. Yet the rest of them did look like finely dressed people. The voice continued, "Become like us. Consume all." I was afraid, completely full of fear. I may have soiled my pants in more ways than one. I began to fear its hunger, its desire to consume. And something felt familiar to me. It felt like this was me. This was what I have been doing all my life. Wishing for more, hungering for more. This is what I was to become. The birds' horrid screeching began to make sense to me. Those were not the singing of birds, but the painful cry of many people. Where I was frozen in fear, I was suddenly called to act, as I came to know that whatever this is, it wanted me to join the screaming voices. It wanted me to be internally in pain and hunger. I took the clay temple in my hand and threw it as hard as I could into the ground. The sculpture shattered, and like someone turning on a light switch, I was back in that stony cliff. I found myself retching at the edge of that cliff. Thomas was never heard of again, said to have moved somewhere else, and I never spoke to him again. That was the finding of Glens and Za. Remember that story? Glens and Za may appear again in my streams. Let's see, a majority of your audience is from Twitch. Leak off, maybe. That's true, that's true. That's because that's why I got started. I had over 200 followers on Twitch, and I moved over here. And the reason why you guys are seeing your messages on my stream before in chat, because I have my stream set to ultra low. And apparently, that means I get chat faster for some reason. That was one interesting story, very interesting. Question, was it good or was it bad? Because I honestly, the people who give me feedback say, this is really good, Ben. And is it? Is it? I don't know if it is, or people just being nice to me. I don't know, guys. I think it's good. I hope it's good. Yeah, that was the first story. And we've killed a total of 20 minutes. It was great. Ah, thank you. It's that thing that whenever you do a work of art, whenever you do something creative, you look at it and your immediate thought is, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's good. But someone else comes along and is like, wow, that's really good. That's I really like this bit right here, and that looks all pretty right there, and oh, I can see some mistakes. It's like that for every creative endeavor anyone ever has. Rarely does anyone ever look at something made and want, I like that. That was good. Usually it's always second guessing. And I'll give you guys an option. Which one do you want to read? Want me to read next? Yeah. Whenever I do something in Blender, yes, I found that that is exactly that. Ghost Story? We do Ghost Story. You guys want to do Ghost Story? Hold on. I gotta do something real quick. I was a dum-dum. I was a dum-dum. I was a dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. Okay, we got a vote for Ghost Story and a vote for They Who Peered Too Deep. I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of the both of them. Ghost Story is about a security guard who goes off to, well, an ex-security guard who turns into a grave robber and finds spooky things. Okay, we got like 3 votes for They Who Peer Too Deep. And They Who Peer Too Deep is about an individual who finds a spooky thing. That describes every spooky story, a vast majority of them, Ben. That's really not a good description. Well, we're reading it apparently. And maybe we could read Ghost Story after this, if I still got the energy and time. 1, 2, 3. Yep, got 3 for this. Maybe Ghost Story afterwards. They Who Peer Too Deep, from the Many Gifts of Tih'tulkd by H.J. Bendele. They say it is me who is wrong, but I know who is wrong. The whole world is wrong. They believe in lies, talk about how they are in control of their thoughts, that no entity speaks for them. I know the truth. I know that there is something that speaks into the minds of others. It hides behind a veil of space, in a pocket of reality that I intended to breach. I don't know how I know this. I just do. And I know that it is true. I moved into a home built on old religious site of a long-gone native society. The Tih'tulkd tribe, they were called. When the land was settled, that tribe was quickly wiped out due to their ritualistic sacrifices, which left any watchers speechless, near mad in fear. And any person sacrificed was gone, with no remains left, no idea where they went. The elder of the tribe said that the sacrifices were not dead, just in a temple that no other could see, and that the meat and grain sacrifices were for that temple. Those words did not stop the sellers from burning them all at the stake. But I believe the elders were telling the truth. I believe the ritual allows people to enter a pocket of existence where there was a temple. There were no surviving records of what the temple looked like, nor the name of the god it was built to. Just that it was the god of madness or fear, with records being vague about which one The ritual required lanterns with lenses made of a very specific way. An extremely specific chants and specific tones. What the tones and lenses are lost to time. I had spent the last 3 years with lighting equipment and speakers trying to find the right tones, wavelengths, and pulses of each to peer into that hidden temple. And of late, I have been seeing success. I was starting to dial in the specific timing, tone, and light weight, beginning to see ripples in the air, much like a body of water being probed with a stick. After the initial successes of my ripples in the air, I got closer and closer to pulling back the curtains of space and reality. This find will be unignorable. All would know my name if I got that word out. One day, I did it. I pulled back the curtains using a specific collection of notes, tones, and lights. The tones were largely deep and bassy, with a few being of a normal speaking tone and most of a throat singing tone. The lights slowly shifted and blinked. I felt like I was clicking in the last digits of a safe that I did not know the combination for. Finally, like a curtain being pulled up from the edges, the walls of the pockets were pulled back, and I peered into the pocket of space, in reality that this temple was hidden. From my position, I could see it. I could see the temple. It was a dark, gray ziggurat with a symbol at the peak reaching high into the gray, cloudy sky. I found myself walking towards the ziggurat. And before I knew it, I passed through those curtains. The ground was that of a large sand or small gravel, dark gray as well. There were deep divots or craters around where I stood, which what I assumed was done by natural means. I looked behind and saw my home, only to see the first horror. It was larger than any building I knew, so unfathomable in size, and it had 8 legs, and a spider-like body, and a neck made of exposed spine that wound around like a snake. At the end of that was a rotten corpse of a face. It was so large that the highest parts of it were being obscured by the clouds. 4 of its legs were raised, ready to strike, and I cowered and soiled myself, preparing for the strike. I cowered for longer than I like to admit before realizing that it was not moving. Upon longer inspection, I realized that it was likely a statue. But I also noted that the craters where I stood. It was almost like the statue struck many times at this location. Ideas started rolling around my head of robotics, the idea that this statue could come to life or online at any moment. Something felt forbidden about this statue, like it was not to be looked at, as if I was setting my eyes on an image of a god. I looked at the ziggurat and curiosity got to me. It was a small hike, maybe 5 minutes to the foot of the ziggurat. There was an entrance at the foot of the ziggurat. It was a square doorway that had a symbol of an eye with legs, a spider. And where the whites of the eyes would be, there was a bright red. There was no door, just an open hallway, and under all my immeasurable fear, I was still drawn to explore. The entry hallway leads to a larger, open room, likely the entire open cavity of the ziggurat. There were tables with glass tops and archways that led to nowhere, and odd chairs. There were 2 archways that led to somewhere, but much like the veil of the pocket's existence, the archways did not go down a hallway, but was set a foot away from the wall. It was on its own. I explored the first archway. For some insane reason, diving into that white sandy desert. It was not hot or cold, but mildly warm. The sand was dry as well as the air. The sky was more gray, with lightning and thunder rolling in, but no rain to follow. Pillars of white stained English. Pillars of white. Yeah, that word doesn't make sense. White jagged at the edges and at angles. Some being curved and others being straight. Many of the pillars were missing chunks. There was this buzzing, gnawing sound that was driving me mad. I looked around and then saw another horror. Something I prayed and hoped was another statue. The size of a small home, there laid a large, white, bony skull. And that maddening, buzzing, gnawing sound could be heard coming from inside. Chattering started, like that of some insect, and I started to see bug-like appendages in the eye sockets, as if something inside the skull had noticed my existence. Whatever it was, must have been large enough to hurt me. And I knew it wanted to hurt me, as I knew what that white sand was made of. Ground bones of some long-lost giant monster. I ran faster than I ever could, as I did, in fact, wander a ways away from the archway. I heard screeching behind me, like something was giving chase, and I ran even faster, as if the devil himself was chasing me. I found the archway and nearly made it untouched when I felt a tug on the back of my jacket. In full fear, I let the jacket rip and pushed through the archway, not knowing if it would be safe. I kept running even when I made it back to Ziggurat. Found myself stumbling into another archway, the only other archway open. It was dark as a night with a full moon. And I was in a forest. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I just said that over you, didn't I? The trees were so much like that from home, only darker and more haunting. I could see a light up ahead and some sort of structure and the soft singing of a woman. I felt drawn to the singing most of all, and begun to walk down the wooded path. Every footstep felt slow, direct contrast to the mad dash of fear from a few seconds ago. One footstep after another, slowly, step, until my foot could not move anymore. It was like my foot was trapped on a branch or a twig. I looked down to find what held my foot in place, maybe move it free, only to find a hand was grabbing it. The hand was made of pure bark and wood, and from the ground I saw more fingers rising. They were grasping for me, wanting to pull me deep underground. I managed to break free from the hand that grabbed me with pure force. I made a run for the archway again. I could hear the rushing of hands breaking through the ground, chasing me. I was fully mad with fear, insane and unreasonable. I made it to Ziggurat and didn't stop running. I ran back to where I came, rushing past the entry, trying to get home again. The curtain was fading, and I knew if I did not leave now, I'd be trapped here with those buzzing creatures and hands that grasp. I made a run for it, and most of me got through that curtain. Most except for my left leg. Now I guard these lands, and I would die before I let anyone ever try what I did. So I read the uwu in the middle of the story, and now forever there will be the word uwu in this story. Thank you very much, Skelly Bro. And that was They Who Peer Too Deep, with an added uwu. I hope that flavored everything quite well. Coloring with a uwu. you horrid monster! You don't know what you've done. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going with you. Ironically, also a story you need to keep in mind. For 100 sub special, if I ever get to 100 sub, I may not. I may though. I did just get 50 subs, and I thought I could never get to that. Have you ever thought about making audiobooks? No. I was always told my voice was stupid, and I sounded like a mentally disabled person, so I always thought no one would like my voice, but I've only become confident in my voice as of recently. Of course you'll get 100 subs. You guys have faith in me. I appreciate that. But yeah, 100 sub special is a interactive story YouTube thingy. It's gonna be a video that I upload and you guys interact with. Yes, it's gonna evolve something of this. Something about this. I'm excited for it. You got this, Ben. Oh, thank you. But yeah, 100 subs roll around. Enable, what do you call them? Annotations. If you could do Markiplier's door, you could definitely do this. And I believe, yeah. I really like choose your own adventure thingies, especially when they're short and good enough, like 20 minutes or maybe like an hour. You could probably waste an hour on that. I love choose your own adventure stuff. XD says XD. Yay. And now we're off to that. This is probably gonna be the last one. The last person to vote on something aside from that was Ghost Stories. Everyone cool with Ghost Stories? I think Ghost Stories is pretty good. I said I'd read it next, and I think I'm gonna read it now. Someone said a big old thing. And that's why, kids, you never look past some curtains. Even if it's someone... especially if it's someone moaning. 16, page 16. In all cases, you'll get scared. And you may lose a limb in either case. Now, do remember I do have a PM stream, so if you saw a story you really, really want me to read, and it's sad that I'm not reading it, just let me know. I could probably pick up for the PM stream. Oh. Now, how many pages is this one? 5 pages. You got this, Ben. Come on. Reading can be a bit exhausting for me, but I love my Saturday morning reads. I would not give them up for the world. I was kind of thinking about doing more on Saturday morning, but don't want to burn myself out. Yeah. This is a ghost story from The Many Gifts of Tih'tulkd by H.J. Bendele. PM stream is at 6 a.m. for me. I always end up missing it. Oh. I should make a special Patreon donation goal where like you donate so much money and I do an audiobook for you. Well, not an audiobook, but like a short story. I can't read more than 20 pages without going completely insane lately. Yeah. Anyways. What fool takes gold to the grave? It's not my fault that they decide variable things should rot and rust in their death, while I, one who still lives, sits in relative poverty. I am owed this. These jewels, these gold should not be buried. The dead do not care for shiny things. What I do, I call early archaeology. But many know it better as grave robbing. I did not believe in ghosts or spirits and other spooky things. What I believed in is paying for the newest sports car and buying the best TVs. I had a buyer that would not ask questions and a fine skill in cleaning jewelry. I also once worked as a security guard, being let go due to a difference in opinion on the concept of ownership. This gave me a good insight on how security works, what rounds they took and how to avoid cameras, who to pay off and when. This all made my early archaeology career simple and profitable. I always drove no less than 20 minutes out of my town for my targets, finding it important not to commit my activities in my own town. I have been at this career for some time now, years in fact, without ever being caught. But valuable targets have been getting hard to find. In looking for a fine target, I came across the Vhek'ith family cemetery, said to have extremely valuable finds. It started out as a cemetery for an odd family who worshipped some entity of a long-forgotten society. Vhek'ith, they called that entity. The entity was said to be the god of souls, or the dead, or something. All I cared is that the Vhek'ith family's overwhelming wealth. The cemetery now takes in any who are willing to pay. The Vhek'ith family was a successful family of psychics, said to have proved their abilities by talking to the dead. They did not need to guess twice on a name, or speak to a crowd to get the right person. They would always look at a person they've never spoken to, heard of before, and would talk about a relative that passed, whom that person never spoke of. The Vhek'ith family gave information that no one but the dead would know. Passphrases, inside jokes, vault combinations. Amazing, unknowable information. The amazing gifts of the Vhek'ith family displayed were lost to all when the family line ended due to infertile men and women. When it came for them to know that the end of the family was coming, they began to build a cemetery with the mass wealth they had. The cemetery had statues of a skeleton dressed in black robes, gripping chains that led off to nowhere. The Vhek'ith family was also often seen wearing the same black robes, wearing a symbol much like an X with a line down the middle. The wealth that was put into the cemetery gave it a good start, and with good upkeep and care, the cemetery still continues taking bodies to this day. Rumor has it when the cemetery first opened, about the wealth of those who were buried there. How the Vhek'ith family buried each family member with a jewel-encrusted symbol of their god. I knew those jewels would be worth a fortune on their own, but the occult symbol? Private collectors would pay billions. My plan was to slip in as a security guard. I knew the key to the tomb of the Vhek'ith family was in the caretaker's chamber, but getting in as the caretaker difficult. But the security guard was another story. Security was provided by a third-party company who were having issues keeping guards at the cemetery. The solution to this problem was to find more security guards leading them to pull guards further and further away. It is well within the believable possibility that a new guard would come in that no one would know before. I scoped the place out, got an idea of what the security looked like, was able to overhear some names, and made a plan. The guard's uniform was not unique. In fact, it was a quite common guard's uniform. The equipment was also standard. It seemed to be a quite simple job. There's even a guard loudly complaining about the job, threatening to quit, giving me a good name to use. I acquired the uniform from a standard uniform supplier, as well as the equipment, and planned to make my entry soon, saying I was to replace the one who quit, named Davison. None of this was difficult for me. My many years of experience taught me that the most important thing is confidence. Is the nerves that get you got. On the night planned, I put on the uniform, had my head high, and drove the 27 minutes to the cemetery. Walked up to the guard post and informed them that I was filling in for Davison. It was flawless. Due to the high turnover rate of this position, no one questioned my presence. They let me in and gave me a security key. A security key card. The person equipping me also gave me a flashlight with a blue filtered lens, and when I asked if I was up to date with everything going on, in an attempt to get more information, I answered with no. He informed me that security was hard to keep in the cemetery because of the ghosts. The ghosts that would wander and take the sacrifice laid upon their graves, and that they could be seen eating the foods and drinking the drinks. Amber light or blue filtered light would make them no longer visible, but they were under strict orders not to put amber lights in the cemetery lighting system. This is what the flashlights were for, so that we would not see ghosts. After I got my badge and was told my rounds and station, I immediately broke off from my assigned spot. I got the rounds and times of all the guards from the break rooms and used them to sneak around. The nearest place I would be empty of all guards was the main cemetery field. That is where I would cross over to the Vhek'ith mausoleum. The main field was a well cared for cemetery with large mirrors that had the same odd symbol, sandblasted and inset with rubies. The mirrors were no less than 8 feet tall, well polished, and showed a dark reflection of the graveyard. Cemeteries have a way of playing with the mind, and stories are told, rumors are spread, and I've seen many things move out of the corner of my eye on my expeditions before. But this time, it was different. All I saw was a shadow move. I did not see a face. When I looked, panicking that I had been found out, I could not see who made that shadow. A cold shiver ran down me, and I felt fear I never felt before. I turned on my flashlight to try to get a better sight, and saw nothing but a bowl of half-eaten fruit. The fear subsided, and I told myself some squirrel must have eaten that fruit. I continued through the cemetery, turning off my light to hide my presence. I came to the caretaker's chamber and found it locked with a key. Not with a key card like what I've been given in the beginning of the night. I used my electronic lockpick gun that I picked off on the internet and easily unlocked the door after a few snaps of my pick gun. No one was in the caretaker's chamber at this hour, but I did hear the whispers within the shadows. Closing the door and using my flashlight revealed that I was alone, aside from the holy symbol of the Vhek'ith family. On a long, black-lit panel with a bowl of half-eaten fruit. My research led me to believe that this chamber led directly to the Vhek'ith family chamber, as well as a few other key rooms. According to schedule, there were no less than 3 guards in the Vhek'ith chamber, but a guard switch was to happen in 5 minutes. My scouting told me that these guards are lazy and slow. There would be a 7-minute window between the guards on duty leaving and the new guards arriving, something that they will be punished for later. The 5 minutes were passing slowly. I looked for a way to kill time. My attention turned to the half-eaten fruit. It was eaten much in the same way the fruit on the grave was, and rotten around where it was bitten. Before my eyes, the bite marks were growing, like something was biting out of it. I reached to pick up the fruit, only to find my hand meet someone else's, as cold as ice. Upon touching the cold hand, I found myself capable of now seeing it. A shadowy, bony hand. I look up to see the face, only see a twisted, shadowy face. Eyes sunken in and drawn down, and all inky black and hanging low. It was a twisted image of a person, fully made of shadow and darkness. I pulled away my hand with the speed one pulls away from a hot stove. At the speed I pulled my hand away, the figure faded out of existence. I moved away with such speed and panic that I fell, breaking my flashlight. I stumbled out of the chamber into the Vhek'ith chamber, only to find the guards gone. I had only a few minutes to grab what I needed. This chamber was dry as a bone and kept at a warm temperature. I quickly looked to find the Vhek'ith caskets, something I had never seen before, only to find that there were no caskets. The remains of the Vhek'ith family were kept in open air, well wrapped and mummified, and dressed in a black, flowing robes seen on the statues. There were 5 members, with Ardrin Vhek'ith being the most prominent and center as the head of the family. They leaned back at an angle, nearly standing with their arms crossed over their chests. The jewel-encrusted symbols were proudly around their necks, and a holy book to the god they worship, Vhek'ith, laid on a pedestal in front of Arden. Open to a page. I moved quickly after checking that there were no alarms in place and took all 5 holy symbols and the holy book. The whispering set in again. This time I had no amber flashlight. I noticed someone paying homage to one of the Vhek'ith family members. In a panic, I did my best guard's impression and asked them who they were. I noticed that they were draped in the dark, shadowy cloth, but it wasn't until I got closer to the figure that I noticed that the dark, shadowy cloth was that of a figure I saw in the caretaker's room. When I approached, the figure moved away and faded from existence. I knew in the deepest part of me that this was a ghost. Still gripping the variable symbols, I heard guards approaching. I quickly rushed back into the caretaker's chamber just as I heard them call out to me. In a panic, I ran to the other door that led to the main field. I had begun to make my way across the cemetery. I heard more voices calling me intruder, unwelcomed, and I ran. I found myself pressed against one of those 8-foot-tall large mirrors, my back to it, when I felt an ice-cold hand grip my shoulder from behind. I froze in fear, and a dozen more hands gripped my chest and pulled me into the mirror. Now I am forever lost in this world of shadow and darkness, where spirits go to rest, nothing to do but read this holy book to an ancient god of dead. Never take from the dead, else they would take you. Okay, that's one of my more liked ones. It's sort of on the bottom of my like list, but I like that pretty well. Pretty spooky. It talks about the ancient god of death and the realm beyond the mirrors. And I like it. I think it's fun. It also gives me a good opportunity to have this grave robber being a high priest later on, because they are now trapped in the realm of the dead with the holy book of the god of the dead and like 5 symbols of that same god. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it. Yeah. I'm gonna give a good stretch. Quite lovely in its details. Oh, I appreciate all of you giving me positive feedback. I like it. Yeah. I think this is where I'm gonna leave this AM stream. I'm getting a bit exhausted. It's been like an hour, 18 minutes. An hour minus the chill intro time. Yeah. Thank you very much for everyone enjoying this story. If you haven't liked or subscribed already, please do so. We always have a subscription goal, and liking just lets me know you like this. If you're watching this in the future, after the stream, please remember to leave a comment. That helps out a lot. I appreciate every single one of you. You all matter to me. Look at that marshmallow pile. 5 of them. You all are gonna make a tasty snack later. Thank you for coming. Goodbye. Wong Sing.